Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Hello guys, what is going on? It's been a couple of weeks, but how are you guys all doing? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and yes, things look different. I'm going to explain why in just a second. But for the first time in a few weeks, we're here live on YouTube once again, and this is my live review, and we're doing a double review tonight to try to get caught up, as I'm super behind on content. But we are live tonight again. This is my live review for WWE's two WWE shows this past weekend. They technically had three, because they did have NXT's Great American Bash. They had Saturday night's main event, also on Saturday. And Sunday was Evolution. I only watched two of those shows. Saturday night's main event and Evolution were the only two shows that I watched. I didn't watch NXT Great American Bash, and I'm trying, but slowly trying to get through AEW All In. I'm going to explain all of that in just a second. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up on. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for me, for sure. As I said, I was going to take a break because of, there being so many pay-per-views, like, clumped together, which also may have been why I also experienced a little bit of burnout, if I'm being honest, too, because there's just so much wrestling clumped together, so many of these, like, bigger shows. So, like, in terms of, like, weekly content, I kind of needed a break, and the past couple weeks as well, too, have just been kind of nuts for me personally. Dealing with my wife's car, nickel and diming us. So we finally just we finally made a decision to trade it in over the weekend. And just a bunch of other things has happened the past couple weeks. It's been a brutal couple weeks. But things are going to get better, and things are going to be great on my end. But because of that, of course, also, again, we've had some recent events that have caused us to have some more obligations financially right now, I say. Which is why, as you can tell, I don't have like a fancy motion background right now. For now, until I get things a little under control, I did downgrade my Adobe Suite subscription. Again, I did like the basic advanced effects that I was able to use through After Effects, and also with some help from Photoshop. But truth be told, I really had never had the time to actually sit down and dig deep again into those softwares like I wanted to. So because, of course, I could, use the extra money here and there right now, I decided to downgrade my Adobe subscription for the time being and just stick with Premiere. So these like basic thumbnails are what's going to be, or like, I got to probably tweak. There's some pieces I was able to hold on to from After Effects and Photoshop that I'm still going to incorporate in the background for my reviews. They do need, of course, put together, and some things are going to have to be a little bit tweaked for now. But again, eventually, I do have to get the full Adobe Suite back again and get, my more enhanced graphics back. But for now, this is just what's going to have to do. That was mainly the big thing that I wanted to announce, because that's the big change right now. So again, so this past weekend there was 3 shows I was interested in, and we're going to review 2 of them tonight. One of them was a decent to solid glorified house show. More so also kind of like a sort of a setup show for SummerSlam as well. There was some, though, there was an unfortunate injury, though, that happened at Saturday night's main event. We'll talk about that. Again, I am in the process of watching AEW All In. I wasn't going to watch it, but then there was a couple matches that did get me interested. And when I looked over the card, and first off, I did hear that show, not including the pre-show, is 6 hours long, which is absolutely ridiculous. But when I looked at it, 6 of the 9 matches I was interested in. And 2 of those matches had outcomes I was interested in seeing. So because of that, I said, screw it, I'm just going to stream it somewhere and just watch the whole thing, basically. But so far, because of, my schedule and just everything else going on right now and just how exhausted I am, I have only been able to watch up to the TNT title match so far. Which, luckily, there's 2 matches that I really wasn't that interested in that I've gotten past. So, but still, it's been quite a climb to get there because everything on that show was so freaking long. So, who the heck knows? But anyways, that's all that. Like I said, things are going to look a little more basic for a while. But again, eventually we will get back to what we had before. Now drink some Coke, give me some energy. But yeah, trying to get my groove back, trying to get back into the swing of things. So tonight we're going to be live again, talking about both Saturday night's main event from the July 12th episode and this past Sunday's pay-per-view, which arguably could be the best pay-per-view of the year. And I'm, as of now, am leaning towards that, and I'll explain why, of course, when we get to it. We're going to talk about, again, Saturday night's main event and Evolution 2025. Again, both shows took place at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. We, of course, are going to start talking about Saturday night's main event first. Of course, that's not going to take too long, because honestly, not much really exciting happened on that show. There were 4 matches. They did set up a little more of a stipulation for a match at Evolution. And, of course, we had Goldberg's retirement, which, honestly, again, I was not interested in that match whatsoever once they put the title back on Gunther. But, despite the very predictable result, that match actually was not that bad. They actually did let Goldberg tell a story rather than having him just swing for the fences every move and try to hit Gunther with his finisher every 2 seconds. They actually did let Goldberg go in there and tell a story. Over that, I can respect that. But again, still knew that he was going to lose. But again, it's done. It was a solid way to go out, and I'm more excited definitely to talk about Evolution than Saturday's main event. But we'll get to there in just a second. But we seem to have a little bit of an active live chat, so let's check that live chat just to see. We've got Dakota. What's up, Dakota? Saying, yo, Evolution was the best wrestling pay-per-view by far this year, which I do kind of agree. I really agree, actually. We got Tyler also in there saying hashtag thank you Goldberg. And also people saying Seth isn't hurt is actually dumb. You could tell he got hurt. Absolutely he did, yes. We see here. And also people saying WWE cut off Goldberg don't know anything. It wasn't them, it was NBC. NBC, I get why, but Peacock could have kept it going. Just my opinion. Peacock could have kept it going. But of course, all Goldberg's speeches get cut off, as we've noticed, or whatnot. But the full speech is available on YouTube of his farewell. But yeah, I do agree. Peacock should have at least let it stick around. Just saying. So we got that one. Tyler says Saturday's main event was a letdown, but Evolution was not. It was good. I didn't have high expectations for Saturday night's main event. I definitely didn't have as high of expectations for Evolution as the show ended up being. Just saying. But it's crazy. Gunther got a better match out of Goldberg than he could Jey Uso, in his opinion. You think so? The WrestleMania, both of the matches they've had this year were pretty good. I don't know if I would call it gold. Well, maybe if you throw in nostalgia, maybe I could give the edge to the Goldberg match. I mean, yes, I wouldn't say Jey. I think the reason why I would rank the WrestleMania match for Jey a little bit higher is because of the moment and how he worked to get Gunther to tap out. I'd probably give that one the edge over this one, but if you do think that the matches were better than the Jey and Gunther matches, I can kind of agree there. But again, the moment though with Jey winning at WrestleMania, that's got to be better in my opinion. Can Bret Hart need to stop trashing Goldberg? It's been 26 years. Yeah, I just read that too. Bret Hart has not gotten over the fact that Goldberg ended his career. So yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I agree. Didn't AEW criticize WWE for being too long? Now it's them going 6 hours. Yes, and the matches, despite being good, are just dragging. So that's why I don't care. Let me see here. I'll be honest, because the reason I don't get into AEW was some of the weapons they use would kill you. Then they do it, and the other guy doesn't even bleed. The inconsistencies with weapons in wrestling, yes, depending on the ranks of the company, but so I don't mind them having like the violent matches, but yeah, don't go overkill on it either too. So there's that. Tyler said he never liked Bret. Goldberg is still got it, but if Goldberg gets in his prime, it would have been better for sure. Yes. I for sure thought Bayley was going to dethrone Becky. Now I think it's going to be Lyra. I really thought, and this is my prediction because I posted about it on my YouTube's Instagram page, I really thought Lyra was going to turn heel and help Becky win. And now that we're going to be getting Becky and Lyra at SummerSlam, which I thought we were going to be getting Becky and Bayley at SummerSlam, but yeah, now that it's going just to Becky and Lyra, I'm a little head scratching about that one. Still going to be a good match, but I really thought that that's the direction it was going. Like I said, I still think the best route to go with was for Lyra to turn heel and help Becky win and side with her, just to create a little bit of a spice, but I may have been overthinking it for sure. Hey, we got Mark back. Hey, Mark, it's good to have you back, my friend. Thank you for joining us once again. I almost messaged you on TikTok the other day because, again, I got my new social media pages last summer, and I definitely wanted to make sure I followed you on them for sure. Tyler says, hashtag pray for Seth gets better. As of this time, we do not have an update on Seth Rollins. The latest I heard was he said that I guess there was too much swelling and inflammation on his knee, and they're waiting for it to swell and to go down before they do further tests. That's the latest I have heard, so we'll see there. Is Moxley leaving AEW after All In? I have no idea. Honestly, Mox may be an AEW lifer, if I'm being honest. Like, he seems like he's too committed to AEW at this point. So I don't think he's gonna leave, but then again, you never know. Let me see here. Dakota thinks, I also think AJ beats Dom at SummerSlam if Finn and JD lose at SummerSlam, or Raquel Roxanne, which leads to Judgment Day to turn on Liv and Dom. They could do that maybe. I still think the long-term plan is the stuff with Roxanne Perez being involved with Judgment Day is her doing Finn's secret dirty work to eventually tear down Dom to get revenge from WrestleMania, and then Dom thinks he's going to get Roxanne, and he doesn't, but then he also loses Liv, but that's just what I'm thinking. And we got Robbie in the live chat. Robbie, what's going on? Say, Mikey! Did you see all weekend that Jelly Roll had that chubby crybaby face whenever something went wrong? Remind me of Eugene doing the same thing during his 2004 run. I didn't notice that, actually. But, believe it or not, I'm kind of interested in the Jelly Roll stuff. Just being real, I kind of am. And I'm not usually the one who is, for celebrity matches. But I think with Logan Paul's involvement, it kind of got me interested. Now, Randy and Drew get involved, it's a little, I think that's not completely necessary because it really isn't a true story. I still really thought they were going to have Randy Orton take on Nick Aldis based off of how many times he's RKO'd him and how many times it feels like they're doing what was it called now? Basically, they feel like Randy felt he's getting screwed over by Nick Aldis, basically. So yeah, I'm surprised they aren't doing that, but it is whatever. I actually think that it somewhat does work, for like a not overshadowed celebrity appearance. And he also says, I hope Lyra and Becky's rubber match is a submission match for the women's IC title, which that could be a nice stipulation, of course, added to it. Tyler would have had Braun Breaker versus Gunther at SummerSlam, then Punk versus Gunther. Fair game there. You think Randy, Jelly versus Logan and Drew will be good? For a celebrity moment, I will be okay with it. Like I said, I think it works because Logan generates the proper heat. And he kind of set himself up, basically accusing Jelly Roll of being an outsider coming in and taking over the show. When, no offense, Logan, although you're definitely much better of a wrestler than Jelly Roll, you kind of are doing the same thing. Just saying. Looks like Robbie responded a little too early to Dakota, but that's fine. It looks like he mentioned later on. Mark says, why do they have to keep putting people with absolute zero wrestling experience in matches? True, but if they want to draw people through non-wrestlers, as long as they don't make it seem like they're the most important part of the show, like Vince McMahon relied on when he's around, I can live with it. So, I'm okay with what Jelly Roll's doing, if I'm being 100% honest. Darby Allin and MJF in WWE eventually. Maybe. MJF, I think in a few years, yeah, probably. Darby, we'll see though. Jelly Roll better be a Logan Paul at SummerSlam. Yes, please, I agree. Why is it when AEW has their biggest moments, it's when they talk shit about WWE? Unfortunately, you're not lying. That is pretty much true. And that's what it seems like they do best anymore when they can't get a draw. Robinson, in response to Dakota, I personally think Finn will cost Dom the IC title at SummerSlam, and Raquel will potentially screw Raquel out of the tag titles. That way Finn, JD, and Roxanne unite and possibly recruit AJ Styles to form a new version of the Club. Ooh. That could be interesting for sure. Again, the only thing is, though, is that you gotta give me something to want to see Finn as a babyface. I'm sorry, that's my problem. Again, he keeps losing, and I can't take him seriously, though. You gotta give me something to want to see him be a babyface again. Just saying. Mark says, I'm so happy our tribal chief came back. So am I, for sure. I will be doing Raw and SmackDown reviews recorded for this week's episodes. So we will talk about in those when Roman came back. I do wonder if his return had to be modified, though, because of Seth's injury. But that could be just overthinking it as well. I think Cena beats Cody at SummerSlam. Cody is leaving to film Street Fighter. We'll definitely talk about that, of course, when we get to it. But, well, I still think... So, a lot of people are mentioning they think SummerSlam, they could have a double turn. Based off of John Cena having moments of, like, regret for becoming the monster he is. And, of course, Cody still mentioning that offer to sell out to The Rock is basically still there. Which, don't get me wrong, would be a nice twist. But my problem still is, I just still feel like, one, just to have Cena win the title and then give it right back to Cody, I don't know, that doesn't really interest me too much. I'd rather be somewhat different. But two, I still also think it's too early to turn Cena back to being a face. Again, I still think the best way for Cena to go out is to lose in an I Quit match. Have him be humbled, shake the hand of whoever beats him, and move on. Just saying. That's just my opinion. Let me see here. Can we talk about AJ Styles' latest meme moment with him on his knees praying to God that Dom gets cleared in time for SummerSlam? That was hilarious. And the whole I cracked up when I saw that the other night for sure. And of course, Dom with his freaking doctor's note, which is definitely hilarious. Hear me out. Jay and Roman versus Braun and Bronson. Have Braun spear and pin Roman to make him credible. That's the tag match I'm thinking they're going with for SummerSlam. And I'd be cool with that, honestly. Them spearing Jay, I think pinning Jay would just look kind of cheap, in my opinion. I agree, and Judgment Day, and he also thinks Finn's a joke. If Dom turns face, will it be like an Eddie-type babyface? I still don't think Dom should turn face. He is too good as a heel at generating the heat. He does not need to turn face. I'm just saying, he really doesn't. Good to see Roman back again, yes. Finn should be the heel and Dom the babyface. I like to see the mechanic in the potential feud. Okay? I feel bad for what happened to Seth Rollins. Me too. Once Finn and Roxanne caused Judgment Day to implode, Finn's potential new faction could be named the Balor Club or the Club if AJ joins. But please do not rebrand the new Judgment Day. Please no. Again, we don't need another form of Judgment Day. I'm sick and tired of them just constantly bringing in new members, and it just isn't, appealing. It's not. Lakota thinks that Orton should dethrone Cena. I don't really agree with it, but, if you want that, that's totally fine. AJ should be the one to take the belt off of Cena. Could be a swerve, maybe. Who knows? Dakota said AJ could do it too. Okay. What about if Cena's last match is against Ronda Truth Killings, where Truth finally pins Cena clean? Ooh. I've thought about it. We'll have to see that they will pull the trigger on that, but that is very, very possible. Of Ron, not our Truth, Ron pinning John. Ron Cena pins John Cena. Would be quite a way to write off Cena for sure. Jade is not ready. I kind of agree, to be honest. It doesn't matter if Finn is face or heel. He is still Pin Balor. Pin Balor, lol, but it's true. So is Black actually a heel? Yeah, I do think Aleister Black is a heel right now, based off of his booking. I'm not doing a turn alert for him because he was a heel before he left, and I wasn't sure if he was brought back. He technically was brought back as a face, but I never did a turn alert, so I wasn't 100% sure where the true direction of his character was going. But thank you, for your guys' comments. As always, it's a very lively live chat here tonight, but I'm going to get rolling and start talking about the shows. So we're going to talk about Saturday night's main event first, and look at me, I am not prepared. I got to pull up the results from the show, just so I remember what order some stuff happened. But of course I remember, what most of the stuff happens for sure. But again, Saturday night's main event took place this past Saturday, July 12th, 2025, at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. This, of course, is the hometown also for Goldberg as well, which was very fitting for him to ride off into the sunset. So the show opened up with, let me see here. Anything happened before the first match? Come on. Besides, of course, the introductions and with Jesse Ventura again being there at ringside, they opened up with Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. This is Drew's first match since taking some time off, since he had ended his feud with Damian Priest a month and a half ago. Match was fine. I've seen this match too many times, though, especially in 2020 whenever Drew was champion. They kind of overdid it with this match. So I didn't really care about too much of the match for that, if I'm being 100% honest. The main thing this set up, though, was that tag match. Randy invited Jelly Roll to come down to be at his side at ringside. Logan Paul came out and tried to get involved, but Randy was still able to sneak away with the victory over Drew McIntyre. And a big brawl ensued afterwards. And at first, it looked like they were just setting up just for Logan Paul versus Jelly Roll. But then Drew McIntyre got involved and Clayboard Jelly Roll. And that set up for, both Randy and Jelly Roll to go off. And that was what made the tag match official. Cool. Not much else there to really say. They were showing people in the crowd afterwards. And then they did show, one of them, of course, was Jade Cargill. And, of course, they were also promoting Evolution 2 and showing all the other women who were there as well. But then while they were showing Jade, here comes Naomi, sneak attacking her from behind to hype up their no-holds-barred match the following night. And then they had, looks like Robbie sent the voice message. I'll check here in a second. And then they had Nick Aldis come out and say that's enough. He had feeling this couldn't wait till tomorrow, so he made an arrangement. And he found a special guest referee for that no-holds-barred match. And it was Bianca Belair, who still has her hand taped, but she was added to Jade and Naomi's no-holds-barred match as a special guest referee. Which I'm like, interesting. Did it really factor in much of the match, though? To be honest, not really. But there's still some teased, body language of Jade being suspicious of Bianca. Just saying. So, we'll talk about that more when we get to Evolution 2 and all that happens. The match I probably didn't care about the most really was this U.S. title match with Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. You want to care about Jimmy, but you know that he's basically still out there just to eat pins. So why this match is made official, I don't know. But Solo won, then the rest of his cronies, his MFTs as he calls them, beats down on Jimmy. And then Jacob makes a save. I guess if he's getting a rematch with Solo and Jacob at SummerSlam, cool, whatever. So that I didn't really care about to begin with. Anything else that happened there? Then we have the Seth Rollins and LA Knight match. The match didn't really get as high of a rating because it had to get cut off. Because we all know during the match, Seth Rollins goes to do a swanton and then a moonsault. Well, on the moonsault, he injures his leg. And it looks like it's the same knee that he has constantly been hurting for the past 10 years and such. And apparently the plan was for Seth Rollins to win the match. But because of the injury, they had to change the finish. And immediately after Seth, of course, got hurt, they had him eat a BFT from LA Knight. And LA Knight does get the victory, which, of course, looks good for LA Knight's book. But then, of course, you do have Seth Rollins, though, who unfortunately is going to be out hurt. And he's part of a very pivotal stable at this time. Now, currently, of course, though, especially after having a Raw, we don't know the timetable. And Seth Rollins will be out. Again, it could be for a few months. And if so, he could still be Mr. Money in the Bank. So that's why the briefcase may stick with the now known as Oracle, Paul Heyman. But it sucks for sure, though, that Seth got hurt yet again. As you know, you just wonder how many more of these knee injuries is he going to be able to take before they stop him for good, basically. So whatever it is, whether it's an ACL, MCL, meniscus, whatever it is, I do hope that Seth Rollins does get better and get to come back soon. Unfortunately, though, that means he's going to be out for SummerSlam. Like I said, we did have Roman Reigns make his return in the main event of Raw after CM Punk won the gauntlet, and Jay tried to help out as well. I guess Braun said and Braun, but Roman made the save, so I'm guessing it may have been supposed to be Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, but instead we got we're probably gonna be getting Roman and Jay versus Braun and Bronson, which I'll take that if I'm being honest. Where's LA Knight go? I don't know. Although it's weird he's spending more time on Raw lately. Why not just do a draft? Especially since other people are making some random appearances on Raw too, but who knows? But again, that all happened there. Main event is next with Goldberg and Gunther. Like I said before, I had no expectations for this match. I really didn't have any interest for this match whatsoever. But when you had Goldberg no-sell Gunther's chop, you knew this match was going to be was actually not going to stink. And it's true, the match honestly wasn't really that bad. Was it amazing? No. There was a few moments where Goldberg's age kind of showed a little bit. He was slipping somewhat. And of course, he had that awkward-looking spear he tried to hit on Gunther. But still, like I said, they let Goldberg go out there and tell a story in his match. Again, it wasn't just him swinging for the fences and firing his best shots at him like he had been the past several matches he's had, and nobody cared. This actually got me to care a little bit more. But, of course, Gunther did get Goldberg to pass out with his finishing maneuver, and then that's when he had his nice send-off and his little retirement speech and whatnot there. So that's all really for Saturday's main event. Again, not a lot. I gave the show a B-. Like I said, the Seth Rollins injury hampered the Seth and LA Knight match. Again, I really didn't care much for the U.S. title match with Solo and Jimmy. The stuff with Jelly Roll, fine. And, of course, the main event was definitely the best part of the show. That was a good match. Again, not amazing, but definitely much better than I thought it was going to be. If you excuse me, guys, over 1 second, I will check the live chat in just a minute, but I do want to go grab myself another drink, just give myself a little more energy before we get on to Evolution, because that is definitely going to be a show to talk about. So, guys, I'll be right back, and we'll check the live chat. Stay tuned. Because I like to do this sometimes when it's go time. I need a little bit more caffeine because, I'm not going to lie, guys. Again, I really wanted to get this streaming tonight, but had to take care of some other things before I did this. But the exhaustion is definitely hitting on me a little bit. Again, like I said, for the past couple weeks, it's been very exhausting mentally for me, but I am cooler now, and again, I'm just trying to get back on track. But yeah, I gave Saturday night's main event for July 12th a B-. We're gonna move on now to, of course, Evolution, which I have a lot to say about Evolution. Let me, of course, first get the results up again, just so I don't forget the order. Evolution 2025 results. Cage side, I believe this is gonna be the spot right here. Okay, yeah, there we go. We'll have that, just so I have that reference to open up the show. So let me first, of course, before we do anything, let me go to Instagram and hear Robbie's voice messages that he had to say to me. Let me see if I can find them. Try to figure out where they were sent. Right here. Aha. Okay. let's play this from Robbie 1 Kenobi.
Hey Mike, so after what I saw at Evolution, I want to believe that the WWE saw my original Evolution fantasy book and video from 2018 and took some inspiration from it. Because if you recall, I had the idea of Katy Perry performing on one of the nights. I don't remember what night it was, but I had the idea of her performing Roar and Rise during that event, the one I rebooked. And what song was used in that opening hype package for Evolution 2 on Sunday? I honestly want to believe that WWE, somebody in WWE saw that video I did and took that advice. Which, if that's the case, do you think maybe I'm entitled to some kind of monetary compensation?
Oh, absolutely. If they definitely saw that, Robbie, I definitely would stick up for you and say, yeah, definitely you do deserve that. It's like whenever, what was it, like when Vince McMahon left WWE and Ryback used my thumbnail for one of his backgrounds on his TikToks. Like, come on, Ryback. I know I loved your. I know I'm not the biggest fan of you. I love your catchphrase, "Feed me more," but yeah, come on. Should have been up for something for that as well, but it's whatever. But no, if honestly that's the case, Robbie, then yeah, you should get some compensation because that was your idea. Because remember, Robbie, you're a genius, Robbie, and that's why we like you. So before we get to Evolution, though, let's again check on the live chat and see what we got here before we move on. I believe we were with Robbie saying Aleister Black's heel turn was savage. I love all those vicious strikes he laid into Damian Priest with. That would definitely be an interesting match for sure. Maybe that could be a SummerSlam match for sure on the card. There's definitely a couple non-title matches we can do for SummerSlam, especially since it's going to be a 2-night show. I'm still not the biggest fan of SummerSlam being a 2-night show. Really, WrestleMania should be the only show that's 2 nights. If you have like SummerSlam and all these other shows being 2-night shows, again, it's not really going to be that special, is it? But who knows? By the way, Daniel Gaiza, we know him as my good friend here on YouTube. Well, in real life as well, because we've been friends for a long time in person. But he is actually going to be attending SummerSlam this year for the 2nd year in a row. So I'm happy for him. He'll be at MetLife Stadium, and I will be home. Anyways, maybe Black is a tweener. Maybe, who knows? I hate WWE do shows in Saudi Arabia. I know, but at this point, they are what they are. It was cool to see the WCW legends like DDP and Scott Steiner. I did forget, yes, they did have those people as well who would walk with Goldberg for his WCW entrance, come out and make his entrance for WWE. Thank goodness also he didn't split his head open, smashing his head against the wall as well, too. Just saying. Can I nitpick, but can Raw and SmackDown bring back the red and blue ropes? Make a difference, sure, I would say so. Because, of course, also, if they're not, then again, it both look exactly the same. That's why I prefer different stages and whatnot. But yeah, that's a good nitpick right there. Robbie says, much as I support WWE, Friday's episode of SmackDown left me with notable gripes. Particularly a no disrespect to the women, pointless face-off between Trish and Tiffany, and Solo losing again. Yeah, for sure, definitely. Which, the stuff with Trish and Tiffany, again, we'll talk about that in a second, where I give my overall thoughts on Evolution. On Solo losing again. Again, you put a title on him, but you still have him lose. Like, again, like character work, Solo is there, but it's like, if they would just let him have the results in the ring, he'd be fine, but they don't, and I don't understand that. Did you hear Goldberg is ticked off with WWE? So here's my question. Is Goldberg going to do what Sting did and go to AEW? Nah. I'm sorry. The only match I would be open for Goldberg to have in AEW, and I can't believe I'm saying his name because I can't believe this guy's even still there, is Wardlow. But if he's not going to wrestle Wardlow, this is it. This is it. He's done. Move on, life, Bill. You're 58 years old. You have no need. You have nothing else to prove. You don't need to do anything else. I'm just saying. No one's screaming for any other really dream matches right now, if I'm being 100% honest with you, Bill. But, you know, it's his life. He do what he wants. I would just say no. Definitely not. But, alright. Let's move on now to Evolution 2. So, I gotta first throw out this question, guys. In your opinion, which show was better? Elimination Chamber or Evolution? Here's why the argument you can make to consider for both of those. Elimination Chamber had a legendary moment we thought it was never going to happen, with John Cena going heel. But if you don't look at that as high anymore because of how the other people involved, like The Rock and Travis Scott, really having nothing to do with the story now, I understand. So, but still, the moment we never thought it was going to happen, John Cena going heel. So, I can understand that. But Evolution. So, here was my biggest problem going into this show. And it goes in with my conversation, of course, when Robbie mentioned the point was set with Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus. They didn't give the show time to get hyped up. Because there, of course, like there was so many shows clumped together. We just had Night of Champions a couple weeks ago. Then this weekend we had, if you include NXT, 4 wrestling shows. Heck, if you want to include the Ring of Honor Supercard show, for those who watch Ring of Honor, that's 5. Too many shows. And the reason why, I hate to put it on the blame on them, but WWE and TKO both got greedy. They had to try to hurt All In. And because of that, they kind of like oversaturated themselves and overbooked themselves. To the point where it's like, you have so many shows back to back to back, but it feels like you're only focusing on just one at a time. Like, there was no long-term build for Evolution. There really wasn't. Not much of it, at least. You can make an argument on some things, but still. Most stuff was basically thrown together within the past 2 weeks. And to me, that is unacceptable. And despite the fact that, we gotta be honest, even if we didn't have the show we had for Evolution, we do know this women's roster is talented. They really have nothing to prove to us to show that they're talented. What they did prove, though, in my opinion, was when their backs are against the wall. Because let's be real, WWE was basically setting them up to fail for this show. With their backs against the wall, they can deliver a hell of a good show. When that happens, when you take the cuffs off some people, like Io Sky, for instance, you should let her defend that title more than he did while she was champion. They can put on, in my opinion, quite possibly the best show of 2025. I thought Evolution 2025 was a classic show. It was a show that, again, people don't give the women the respect they deserve, and I can understand, especially with the inconsistencies on booking for some of them. It's obvious that some of them are valued more. Just saying, Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria have had more IC title matches, pay-per-view and not pay-per-view, since WrestleMania. And this show was the first time Io Sky had defended that women's world title since WrestleMania. After they gave her a career-defining win on that show. And the match that her and Rhea had in the main event of Evolution, they didn't give her the time to really shine as a women's world champion. And that, in my opinion, again, is unacceptable. They should have. But, despite the lack of build, like I said, this show was awesome. great show, especially when you have an ending that had my jaw dropped for a good solid 5 to 10 minutes. The moment that bell rang, making Naomi officially in that main event match, my jaw was dropped. And it didn't move for like 5 minutes. Or longer than that. Just saying. But again, if you're going to doubt that the women can't wrestle, that they can't put on a television show with just all women, watch Evolution 2025. Because that show, again, in my opinion, is probably the best show of 2025. I'm just saying. In my opinion, 2 match of the year candidates on this show. The first match and the last match. Also, we did have Stephanie McMahon at this show as well. Nice to see Stephanie. She had more of like a background broadcasting thing there. Well, she also got to interview and basically really endorse Stephanie Vaquer. Vaquer, not Vaquer, as Nikki Bella mispronounced it. Sorry, Nikki, but I gotta rip on you about that. It was a special night. It really was a special night. And to get into it, like I said, the opening match, the triple threat match for women's IC title, Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria, and Bayley. These 3 came out swinging. I knew this match was going to be great, but this was, again, this match and the main event, it takes a lot, and there's not too many matches I could say that have really had me on my toes, where I'm like, I have no clue who's going to win this. That is the feeling I got with some of those close near falls that was in this match. The back and forthness was crazy. Again, the descending friendship with Lyra and Bayley in there, and Bayley wanting to get her revenge on Becky Lynch for costing her spot in the women's tag match at WrestleMania, I thought was, again, just played out very well. Like I said, I really thought, because of course, eventually she might just fall under her spell, I really thought Lyra was going to turn heel in this match and help Becky beat Bayley. And then they would do Bayley and Becky at SummerSlam. But of course, instead, they had a 2 out of 3 falls match between Lyra and Bayley on Raw. And Lyra did win that match. Although, again, showing some more aggressive traits. But, I think, again, still, when Lyra really embraces her character, she's going to be something special. And in-ring, she's great. That freaking leg drop she did on both Becky and Bayley at the same time that went there from the corner, absolutely chef's kiss awesome. I loved that maneuver right there for sure. So many great near falls, but Becky Lynch slips away with some backslide roll up, which was kind of cool. I know one of the announcers said that was one of the coolest pins I've ever seen. Gotta be honest, they're pretty much right. Becky does retain. And like I said, Lyra did beat Bayley in a 2 out of 3 falls match. It's going to be Becky and Lyra at SummerSlam. Again, I would have more been interested for sure in Bayley versus Becky, because we've already done Becky and Lyra a handful of times. So, I really don't need to see that match again. But where it goes, who knows? And will Bayley still continue to be involved as well? So she can get some momentum too. Because again, I still feel like the storyline with her and Becky is the prime story that could be used to help Bayley get her babyface momentum going, in my opinion. But like I said, definitely one of 2 match of your candidates was that opener. The second match on the card was probably my least favorite out of all of them. Was this NXT Women's Championship match between JC Jane and Jordynne Grace. Let me mention also an honest opinion here. I'm just saying, I know she won the Battle Royale. I know they wanted to officially call her up. But I gotta be 100% honest. I really think they should have had Stephanie Vaquer go into this pay-per-view as NXT Women's Champion. You could have called her up, put her in Money in the Bank, but I think she should have been defending the NXT Women's title on the show. And you could have done her and Julia. You could have done, her or Jordan. But instead we got JC Jane as our NXT Women's Champion and Jordan Grace. And JC Jane had Fatal Influences, Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley in her corner. And then Jordan Grace had formerly Mariah May, now known as Blake Monroe, in hers. The match again was fine. Again, I'm just not sold on JC Jane. Again, I know I don't watch enough NXT, but in my opinion, it's like how it was with Gigi Dolan. Once Toxic Attraction ended, it was kind of over for her. She really just hasn't had much of a direction. So that's why I'm not sure why they kept the title her. And the other thing, too, is the winner of this match is going to fight the TNA Women's Knockout Champion, whatever they call it, at Slammiversary, with Jordan being a TNA alumnus. You would have thought that they would have wanted to have her on the show just for one last big hurrah, but no. They had Jordan lose because Blake Monroe slapped her in the butt with a title. Yeah, that's right. That's how Blake Monroe cost Jordan Grace her match. Slapping her on the butt with the title. But yeah, so we'll see, of course, if Blake Monroe brings in like the evil Mariah May side to her with this heel character change. But again, we'll have to wait and see. So again, definitely, in my opinion, the weakest part of the show. But that's still saying something, because it was still a good match. But again, I just not really interested in JC Jane as women's champion. Excuse me. We then have this fatal 4-way match for the women's tag team championships. Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. We had the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, and we also had Sol Ruca and Zarya. Zarya's entrance is total badass. It's the first time I've ever seen it. And I've seen some highlights from Sol Ruca. She's awesome. I think that she's going to fit in very well with anyone on the main roster when she gets there. It's obvious that they're very high on her. But she's not quite ready yet. We also had what seems to be... So, the stuff with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, I still enjoy because it's kind of given a different vibe on Charlotte. Again, as I keep saying, the thing that they had to do with Charlotte Flair was to put her in some non-title storylines. Okay, yes, this is involving a title, but it's not the world title. And I don't know if it's because they've eased back on her or whatnot. Charlotte Flair got a babyface reaction here in Georgia. We actually got a "We Want Charlotte" chant. Can you mention the time we've had that happen? Because I can't think of one, if I'm being honest. But that was crazy there. They showed that the bond continues to seem formed as Charlotte took a bullet whenever Sol Ruca went for, I think, a spear, but she accidentally got Zarya, of course, instead. Don't know what really happened there. I don't know. It's just like a fluke accident or whatnot. I don't know. But yeah, all 8 women in the match looked amazing. But of course, you figured they were going to have Raquel and Roxanne retain just to show there's some solid form to their new bond. And they're now the proven women's tag team champions. So, that worked out very well. And again, I said, Sol Ruca also especially had some moments of shine in that match for sure with her maneuvers. But yeah, so that match was still great. We moved on. We have Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus for the women's championship. Thought it was another good match. Again, Trish Stratus turns 50 later this year. She hasn't aged one bit. But her and Tiffany, I thought, worked very well together. Of course, there was a couple times where I thought maybe they were going to upset us and have Trish win the title, which, not going to be opposed to that. But Tiffany got the victory, and she's going to go on to fight Jade Cargill at SummerSlam. Speaking of Jade, of course, she did have, was it after this match? It was, yes. After this match, we had Jade Cargill versus Naomi with Bianca Belair as a special guest referee in a no-holds-barred match. I gotta be real. When they announced this, I really thought that Naomi was going to win this match and that Bianca was going to turn heel and reveal that although it was Naomi who attacked Jade last fall, Bianca was the mastermind behind it. And I thought that's was the story we're going to go there, but that could have made it too obvious for a cash-in at SummerSlam, even though that cash-in's not happening at SummerSlam. But the match was still good. Jade won, as I thought they would do, because they probably don't want to have Jade lose for her title match next month. But, again, Tyler mentioned earlier that he doesn't think Jade is ready. Which I agree, if I'm being honest. Yes, has she gotten better? For sure. There's still some ways to go? Absolutely. But you could use this as an opportunity for the experience. And for, for Jade to get the experience. She doesn't have to win the title right here. But give her that taste of the main event scene. But yeah, I'm still very surprised that the Bianca situation wasn't a little more emphasized in this match. Still great, though. So good use of weapons. Naomi did get busted open at one point. I don't remember. But Jade does win with the Jaded through a table. So we had that in there for sure. Another use of weapons there as well. We also had the Evolution Battle Royale. The only disappointment I will mention for this match is that I was hoping, we had all these other names announced for it, I was hoping we would have gotten a surprise. Like a surprise return from either, let's say, AJ Lee or Paige. We didn't get either one. Slightly bummed by that, but it was still a good battle royale. Yes, there was some, of course, twerking, because we did have Mia Yim and Lola Vice in there. I'm pretty sure Lash Legend did at one point also, but we also had, Chelsea Green and Nia Jax in there, mocking Nikki Bella's little butt shake she does when she makes her entrance and whatnot, which I thought was hilarious, especially when Nia did. I thought it was funny. But to my surprise, here's what I was more surprised about. Stephanie Vaquer won. She was an obvious pick. I wasn't sure if they were going to give it to her because it was way too soon. But she cut a great promo afterwards, saying how, English ain't my first language, but wrestling is, or something like that. And she's going to, of course, get a women's title shot at Clash in Paris. Who does she wrestle, though? We'll have to wait and see which route they go with it, because they announced already a triple threat for the women's world title at SummerSlam. So the winner's going to face Stephanie Vaquer at Clash in Paris. What really surprised me, though, was Lash Legend. She was the runner-up in this match, but she really surprised me. The past couple times I've seen her, I thought she was kind of green. I don't know what happened for these past few months, but she was agile. She actually really impressed me. And to me, no real fluke really of having her be runner-up in this battle royale. Yes, she did eat victim to the Devil's Kiss by Stephanie Vaquer in there as well. But again, I feel like, if they want to call her up, I could see her being called up at this point. Like I said, she did really good in the match. She impressed me the most. But in the end, again, Stephanie Vaquer did win. Like I said, the only thing I wish would have happened is we would have had some sort of a surprise in that battle royale. We didn't. It's okay. Although, again, we did have some dance-offs and twerk-offs imitating Nikki Bella's maneuver in there as well. But yeah, so that battle royale worked out very well as well. And then we have our main event, which was Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. The story going into this, of course, is simply the fact that Rhea Ripley has never been able to beat Io Sky. And the match started off a little, slower but physical. And then they basically told each other, I respect you, now fight me. And they went absolutely all out. Another match where it felt like that neither woman was going to win because of how great of chemistry these two have, and it put on an amazing match. They could tell pretty much one of the best stories you could possibly think of. Just saying. I like the spot, of course, where they did have the referee knocked down by accident, and they brought onto the crowd, as making it much more like it was a match where it's like, okay, you don't think they both dislike each other, but they're both very competitive and know one needs to beat the other to prove themselves. But of course, the two women were not able to put each other away. And then it was so bad, again, that they were both knocked down, and out came Naomi. And when I saw this, I'm like, I really thought Naomi was going to keep that briefcase to make Jade's life living hell and dangle in her face, and thinking she probably could have cashed in at SummerSlam. But instead, not only did Naomi cash in on the Women's World Championship, she won the Women's World Championship. Yeah, Naomi's on Raw. And she seems to want to get away from the SmackDown drama over there. Although, again, your husband is still over there, just saying. But, it is what it is. But, yeah. Again, the moment the bell rang, when Naomi was put into that match, my jaw dropped for 5 minutes. As, again, I really thought she was going to cash in on the SmackDown Women's Champion. But instead, she went with Raw's. Which is making me wonder, okay, then what's the long-term plan from her, Jade, and Bianca? Well, here's what I'll say. We're supposed to think Naomi's out of the picture, but this could be where Bianca Belair makes her maneuver, and maybe she will cash in. She can't cash in, she doesn't have a cash in. Maybe at SummerSlam, she will screw Jade or something, or let Jade get her moment and attack her and whatnot. You never know which round, of course, they could go with it. But again, Bianca just really, 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 really needs that heel turn, if I'm being 100% honest. What else was I going to say? Shoot. Oh, yeah. So, if I'm going to be honest and, really put on my thinking cap, I'm wondering if the whole purpose of Naomi cashing on the Raw title instead of the SmackDown title maybe could because, they both have this, Naomi and Bianca have this plan where they both want to take over the company in general. So, obviously, that could be, at least, one getting the world title on Raw and the other one getting the women's title on SmackDown. You get what I'm saying? That's where it's it feels like the direction it has to go. Because what? Are you going to... Because they're doing the triple threat at SummerSlam. Are you just going to have... what's his face? I'm drawing a blank. I'm getting tired. I'm sorry. Are you going to just have Naomi being there just to eat the pin between Io and Raquel? And Io and Rhea. Just saying, that'd be kind of crappy to do so for sure. But, I'm getting tired of losing my train of thought so easily. I'm sorry, guys. But still, an outstanding ending. And again, we'll have to wait and see where it goes. Again, we already got the triple threat. Well, the two women's title matches made official because it's Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill for the Queen of the Ring semifinals, whatever the heck it's called. I don't even... Oh, no, they're taking a charge at SummerSlam. Sorry, one Queen of the Ring. I'm getting tired. I'm sorry, guys. And like I said, I still want Naomi being there just to eat the pin, because if she loses the women's title, then what, So, we'll see, of course, where, in fact, that goes. But I think we have one more round of live chats to do really quick before I go to bed. because I am exhausted and I'm getting tired. I'm sorry, guys. I'm fighting it, but yes. Tyler says, no, Goldberg should stay retired. He's done. You have a great run, WWE. Yes. WWE stop giving Rhea title shots. I think they can. I think they're addicted. But the crowd was cheering Charlotte in the Fatal 4-Way, which, yes, I still surprised they were. Apparently I made an AEW reference, All Out. Of course I did. And which referee do you think took the better bump? Charles Robinson being speared by Goldberg or Jessica Carter being dropkicked by Io? Gotta say Goldberg's spear. But that dropkick kick that Io had hit on Jessica Carter was quite nuts also. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna check out and go to bed now. We're down here for about an hour. Solid double review. Again, Raw and SmackDown reviews will be pre-taped this week. And again, hopefully I can start getting back on track with the channel again. Again, like I said, I've just been exhausted the past few weeks. So hopefully, like a breather and me starting this tonight will hopefully help me get my channel fired up and back on track again. So that's going to do it, guys. Again, A+ for Evolution, B- for Saturday's main event. What are you guys' opinions on both these shows? And do you think Evolution was better than Elimination Chamber? John Cena's heel turn being overdone by the women's wrestling making a huge statement as the show did when their backs were completely turned against the wall again. The women's wrestlers should be very proud of what they proved on this show, because they proved they could have good, if not even better shows than the men. And with that being said, guys, again, I'm checking out. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. Leave guys thoughts down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. And follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 93 and on TikTok and on Instagram, the Club of the Man 93. One more fun fact before we go. Also, thank you to all the support I got on TikTok. My Evolution printed match card has over 41,000 views on it. And that's more than any match card I've had on this channel. The highest, I think, for match cards I've gotten is 40,000. So that just outdoes that. But it's a cool number to see. So thank you guys, of course, as always, for your support. And again, slap a like on the video. Subscribe more content on my channel. You may follow me on Twitter as well, the Club of Man 93. And on TikTok and Instagram, the Club of Man 93. And guys, I'm going to bed. I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys again soon. Have a great rest of your night. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!